Good morning. Welcome in on this, what is it here, wet and dull and overcast Monday morning. Sorry I'm a bit late again this morning, but I normally wait to say goodbye to Mike before I come on live, and he's still here. He's not quite ready to go yet, so I thought, oh well, I'm just going to have to say bye, I'm going live, which is what I've just done. So lovely to see you and be here with you on this Monday morning. Do pop on and say hello if you are coming in live, or even if you're coming in later in the day or in the week. Do say hello and let me know you've been here. Do leave any comments and do share out this video. That's all really helpful for me in my little business if these get shared out and more people come and join us. So it's lovely to be here, as I say. Very wet day outside, quite miserable, but in here we're going to be playing with a touch of spring. We're going to be having tulips, not quite from Amsterdam, but these ones did come all the way from Germany because they were one of our giveaways at on stage in November. Certainly the stamp set was. So Timeless Tulips, it's a beautiful stamp set. It is. I've got the light on, so hi Janice. You get a bit of reflection there, but some really nice sentiments in there. There's a happy Easter, there's a Mother's Day, there's a get well soon, as well as a happy birthday. So that's really nice. And there's even sort of a sympathy type message in there. So really sort of covers lots of bases. And then the tulips themselves and the leaves are this sort of distinctive style. So you do really get details when you stamp these. They are really detailed, so they are really beautiful. So you've got your tulips, big tulips, small tulips, tulip bud, various leaves, various stems, and then there is a punch that coordinates with it, and the punch obviously cuts out the bigger tulip head, and it also cuts out one of the leaves. But you can also use this shape, so you can stamp and use this shape to create a 3D effect on your tulips if you want to. So that's an added bonus there for the Timeless Tulip Punch. So a lovely bundle, and if you haven't got a big shot or anything like that, really nice because you can create those 3D effects without either using a big shot or getting your big shot out or whatever it is. So some really nice sort of samples in here, sort of all layered up. You can see there how they've layered up these extra pieces. They've used these pieces to make the 3D effect on those tulips just there. This one is, I don't know, it comes out very well really, is white embossed, and then there's a watercolour wash over the top of it. This is the one we're going to have a go at in a minute, just because the instructions were really intriguing on it. And then, as always in this catalogue, and with the main catalogue now, where you've got your bundle index at the beginning, they give you another sample. So there's another sample again using those tulips, and they're just really bright and give us a sense of spring on a wet and yucky February morning. Let's find out what page that is without just flicking. Page 43. There we go. Timeless Tulip Bundle. So that bundle, the stamp set actually is a £17 stamp set, so it's a photopolymer one. It's a good value stamp set, and it's a good value bundle because even with the punch, that complete bundle is £30.50. So that's not bad for a complete bundle like that you're going to be able to create lots of lovely things with. So well worth thinking about investing in that one. Okay, let me find myself. My desk, when I came to it this morning, was like a disaster zone, mainly because I'd got a class on Friday night. I was not at all well on Saturday. I was, very yucky, and I had to cancel a class actually because I wasn't very well. People did not want to be spending the day with me dashing up and down the stairs to the toilet to be sick and things on Saturday, so I don't know what brought that on, but so Saturday was a wipeout. Yesterday I was busy with family things, so yeah, I came to my desk this morning and it was still the disaster zone from I'd left it late Friday night. But Friday night we had a fun class. We were doing watercolour pencils and the Beautiful You stamp set, so we made 8 cards in our online class on Saturday. So you're not too late to join in with that if you fancy, if you'd like to make those 8 cards. The kit is the Beautiful Moment stamp set and the second set of watercolour pencils. And you can come along and be added into that class and go back in and watch that video as it went out. It went out live on Friday night, but you can watch it as if live at any time. Right, now then, as always, I've picked out this project from the catalogue. We're going to case one of the projects from the catalogue, and I've picked out this one with the watercolour elements in it. It just looked fascinating, and this one actually, unusually, the designer has sort of given some instructions as to how they made it, and it sounded fascinating. So what I've got here is a piece of our watercolour paper, the Fluid 100 watercolour paper. So it is good stuff, archival cotton watercolour paper, and it has a slightly smoother texture than some watercolour paper, which does have lots of benefits, obviously. And I'm going to cut this so that it measures 14.4, I think, this way. Now, quite often when I've been using this watercolour paper, I've just simply cut it in half. So the pieces that I've used, that wasn't the watercolour paper, the pieces I've used on here are half a sheet. But I want this one to be slightly bigger, so I am going to be slightly more extravagant and just trim these edges off. I'm sure I shall find a use for those with watercolour border or something at some point. So I will tuck those safely back inside my packet so they don't go missing. And now I have my piece of watercolour card ready for us to use this morning. I'm going to do a side opening card base. So let's cut this at 10.5, and then let's score it at 14.9. If I've got a card going this way, I do like to do the side opening ones because they stand so much firmer on your mantelpiece. No danger of them spraying out. Okay, so there's our card base. There's our watercolour card to go on the top. So let's put our card base to one side for now, and we'll bring that back in when we are ready. And we are going to use Calypso Coral, Garden Green for our stems and our leaves, Crushed Curry and Petal Pink. So Calypso Coral, Crushed Curry and Petal Pink for our tulips, Garden Green for our stems, and then obviously we're going to need some sky in the background. So that is going to be in blue. We have got one of our tulips that has been popped out and standing up, so I'm going to bring in another little piece of watercolour card there, ready to sort that one out. I think that might be the block that I require. Right, I'm just looking round to see if I can see my stamping spritz, so that I can just refresh, not my stamping spray, it's my stamping scrub spray, so that I can refresh that, ready to go. Okay, let's get started. So we are going to have 2 big tulips, 2 small tulips, and 1 bud to start with. I'm going to pull out from the side of my glass mat a bit of scrap paper so that I can stamp these stamps off. So let's start with our petal pink. And we're going to stamp it off, and then we're going to stamp it here. Can I see that at all? Petal pink is so pale. I think I can possibly work out where that is. I'm going to stamp one on there as well. So that's our 2 petal pinks. Our Calypso coral is going to be in the smaller daffodil. So let's ink that up, stamp it off. No, let's get ourselves right. The smaller tulip is going to be in crushed curry. So let's ink that up, stamp it off, and we're going to put one of those about here and one of those about there. And then we need our little tulip bud, and him we're going to do in Calypso coral. So let's ink up Calypso coral, and then let's put that about there. So very, very faintly, we've got a petal pink one just here, we've got a yellow one here, Calypso coral here, and we've got another petal pink on our spare piece of card just here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our ink colours and we're going to watercolour those tulips. So I've got this yellow one in front of me, and I've got lots of ink already squished out into that lid. So I'm just going to, following those faint lines down there, going to watercolour those tulips. Using the original as a bit of a guide. As to where those petals and things came. I'm going to come in and put in a bit more detail in that rose, in that tulip in a minute, but for now it just is about putting some colour down. And let's do this one. Add in some colour there. Hi Claire. Right, just going to rub my water brush on my Stampin' scrub as well, just to clean that off. Let's go in with some Calypso Coral. Just looking around, obviously somewhere I have Petal Pink to start with. What on earth have I done with my Petal Pink stamp? It's blushing bright. Oh, here it is, right under my nose. Why can you never find the thing that's right under your nose? Right, so let's do the same. With this, we'll just add in some colour on our little tulip down here. And the illustration on the box is very good for giving you guides as to where you can put your lines and things back in. But I am going to come in and put a bit more detail back in those in a minute. For a minute it's just about filling in the colour. Let's come up to our Petal Pink one. We're going to do the same with the stems and things in a minute, but we'll just do these flowers first. This is going to be the one that I think it's a pale colour anyway. I'm just trying to wiggle my head to get that in the right light. To see where that's coming, something like that. Let's put down our colour. On that one. And then, last but not least, we've got our little flower that is sitting over here on our odd bit of watercolour card. I don't know that I even got much ink then, did I? Let's try squeezing that a bit harder. That's looking a bit better. And again, just trying to see where that came round there, like that, and came round this side like that. Got your pointy bit at the top there. This petal coming down here, and then we've got another petal in there, and then this one coming down this side, and this one coming down this side, and then let's just add in some colour. The brush ended sprayed out a little bit there. That's splayed out rather than sprayed out. Let's add in that colour. Let's get rid of that bit of dog hair that is does like to get in on the act. There, so we have got our basic flowers coloured in. As I say, we're going to come back to those in a minute, but let's put in some stems and some leaves so they're not just flower heads floating around in the breeze. So we have two stems in this set. We've got a curly one and we've got a straight one, and I think we're going to use both. Let me find my long thin block. Let's go in with our straight one first. I'm going to lie, or straightish, lie that down there and then pick it up with my block. And get some garden green. And I may actually use the straight one for all of these. We're going to have one coming in here, one up here, one for this one, one for that one, and then we want one more for what's going to be our floating tulip that's going to come up here somewhere. About there, I would think. And then we're going to take our leaves. So I'm going to take this straight little leaf to start with. And again, I'm stamping these off. We'll do one. Oh, caught on that edge. Can we reline that up? Hopefully enough just to give us a bit of an outline. I'm going to have some tips of leaves just there. Let's have one coming just here, and then the curly leaf. We'll have one of those just curling it round so it doesn't interfere with that tulip just there. We'll have that coming in about there. Right, and again we're going to come in, we're going to pick up some colour out of the our lid, and we're just going to fill in the colour on these tulips. I've seen these tulips coloured in various ways. I've used them so that I've inked them up and then used a sponge dauber to add a second colour on to make them sort of variated. I've seen somebody do a similar thing, ink them up and stamp them and then go in with their watercolour pencils to add in some more depth of colour. But when I saw this today I thought, well, that's another way of adding colour to them. So we're actually watercolouring them, which in some ways means that we're losing that original detail. But what we're going to do now is we're going to grab our Stampin' White markers and we're going to look in here for crushed curry, and Petty Pink, and Calypso Coral, last but not least we want a garden green. we're going to take our markers and we're going to use our markers, which of course is the same ink. As you get in your pens. And we're going to use those. Again, let's use our illustration on the front of our box to give us some sort of guidelines for where we want to add back in our detail. And obviously, because it's exactly the same ink, it does just beautifully blend in what you've just done. Doing little flicks to add back in some of that shading detail. And again with this one. Flicking it up, bringing in a bit more definition around that side. And now for our petal pink ones. We could have probably leave these to have dried a little bit more before we came in, but I think we're getting away with it. Sorry people, I'm so busy concentrating. It's not blends, it's watercolour. Hi Megan, hi Maggie, hi Div. So Megan, yes, I've watercoloured them. So I've watercoloured them onto watercolour paper, and now I'm using the blends to add back in some of the definition. That's that one, and then last but not least, so we stamped them off first, so we just got a very faint outline, and then we've watercoloured them. So now, because of course it's the same ink in the pens as you get in your stamp pads, we're just going back in and adding some of that shading in detail, so it does give it sort of a slightly softer finish. Again, this is one I've cased from the catalogue, and this time on my sort of recipe sheet it did give quite a few instructions, so it looked intriguing. I hadn't tried it before just now, but actually it's quite a nice, I wasn't sure where it was going to start with, but actually as they're coming together they are quite nice. Let's just get that tulip twiddled round in that punch and lined up. Round you come. So what I might do actually with this one is I've got my water brush and my pen and everything here. I may soften it up a bit where there's the border. Let's take that colour out to the edge a little bit. May then need to go in and with the pen again, but trying to get the water brush. There we are. That's actually taken that out to the edge. So the last thing we've got to do is take our green pen, and we'll do the same with these stems and these leaves. Just again about adding in the details, but it just gives it a bit of a softer finish. I have to confess I wasn't at all sure where that was going to go, particularly when I started. I thought, oh my word, I'm not sure that that looks most bizarre. But now that we've gone in and added in that detail, it is looking quite cute. Let's set some dimensionals. No problem, Megan. Let's bring that 3D tulip up there a bit. Actually, I might swing it round just a little bit. Like that. We're going to take this sentiment, what a beautiful difference one single life makes. There it is. Grab this block just here. And I think we'll go for that in garden green. I'll do this while those flowers are drying a little bit. And then we're going to take So Sweetly, Stitch So Sweetly dies. These are becoming a bit of a favourite. And we want one of these scalloped stitched rectangles. I need to put these on a magnetic sheet. I've not done that yet. That one does fit that one, you see. I looked at that and I thought that one's going to be too small, but it is not. It fits it beautifully. Let's shut those up for a minute, make a bit of space. Space is of a premium today because I need to tidy up. We're down to working on just about what you can see in front of you, with a fear of avalanche of things crashing in from either side at any moment. Right, so let's I'm sure there's a few of you that know that feeling. When you're down to a 6-inch square and you think, right, okay, it's no good, really am going to have to tidy up now. Okay, there's our little label, and the one thing I need to find is some Calypso coral twine, which you can find in the little embellishment box. Oh, come off. That goes with the Follow Your Art set. There's a little blue twine and a little Calypso coral twine. Ooh. Shouldn't have a knot in it though. That's not good. Ha ha ha. There we go. Right. So before we come to finish this off, one thing we do need is a little bit of sky around it. So here somewhere I've got a balmy blue. Now the original is sky all over. I'm going to see how we go. I think before I decide whether I go sky all over, I may actually grab the ink refill for that one, and I'm just going to put a little spot of ink in there because I think that might help a little bit. Let's water that down, spread it out a little bit. And let's just the dog's getting everywhere. With love from the dog. So let's carefully come around these because we don't want the two colours necessarily to blend into each other. So I'll leave a bit of a gap. We'll take the blue up to the flowers nearly, but not quite. Oh, deep breath as we come down here. So I'm not going in very dark on this sky. It just is more of a sense of sky. Filling in the gap. The nice thing about this technique is it does look like there isn't a stamp there at all, as if I've literally sat down this morning and watercoloured you a few tulips, haha. Which I have, but it's been more like watercolouring dot by dot, or you know, colour by numbers, because I've had the stamps to guide me. That's what I say to people, you don't need to be artistic. The artists are in the creative department at Stampin' Up. We just need to be able to colour in. There. I'll perhaps risk coming in a little bit nearer on that one. There we go. We've done a little background sky. I'm going to give that a little bit of a blast before I stick it together, just to dry it off a bit. Obviously, if I wasn't in a hurry, I'd have gone away and left it and come back. But let's just give that a bit of a blast. Just to dry it off a bit. And then we're going to take our Calypso coral twine and wind that round here. Might need, yank that a little bit, just a little bit more to do a bow on this side, I think. Wanting to have slightly more longer tail, a bit more of a right. Let me cut this end off with whatever scissors are to hand. We can just wiggle that round a little bit then if we want to. And then let's find some dimensionals, pop our little greeting up. With some dimensionals, I'm going to put 3 at the top and 3 at the bottom, and then hopefully it will straddle that twine, or we can wiggle the twine so that it does straddle it. We'll put that in. Down there, I think. Let's twiggle that back a little bit just so that it's sitting right on the edge of that greeting. And then somewhere we have our nice balmy blue card blank that we've already cut and scored ready. I think I'm going to pop a bit of Tombow on the back of that to stick it down. I'll be quite generous because watercolour card is that bit thicker, and at the moment it is still a little bit on the damp side. Now the instructions say to add in some Follow My Heart faceted gems. I don't actually have any Follow My Heart faceted gems. I'd like to think that I have everything in the catalogue, but unfortunately the bank manager doesn't quite allow me to have everything I want in the catalogue. So I'm going to take a couple of these iridescent sequins, and I'm going to pick out the yellowy ones, I think. And we'll just have a few of those on there. A little spot of Dumbo. We'll pop that sequin on there. I only want a little spot, but there is. Want it to have something to stick into. And a little spot just there. There. Well, that was quite fun, wasn't it? And that's something that I've not done before. So we watercoloured them, stamped them off, stamped them onto our watercolour card, used our water brush to fill in the colour with ink out of the lids of our pads, and then went in with the matching Stampin' white markers to add back in the shading and the detail. So that's really quite pretty. So there's something new that we've had to play with this morning, and brought a bit of spring sunshine to what's a wet and grey and dismal morning here in the UK. So thank you for joining me, and we'll be back to play with some more tulips on Thursday. And then if you're local, you can come and play with me on Friday afternoon, and we're doing a Timeless Tulips stamper stack. So tulips galore this week, so do come along and play if you're local. If not, come back and play on Thursday. See you then.